girls, today we are going to work on arithmetic lesson 160, and what we're going to do today is multiplying by 10, 100, and 1000. Before we start our lesson, let's go and review our concept cards. 0.75, 0.25, 0.5, 2/3, 3/4, 4/5, 1/4, 1/2, 2/3, 2/5, 1/5, 1/3, 3/5, 0.139, 9/10, or 90. Okay, so this is the review for our concept cards. Now I am going to switch over to the projector and we are going to go over the rules on how to multiply by 10, 100s, and 1000. Okay, so to start off, let's go over some rules on how to multiply by 10, 100, and 1000. So the first rule says, to multiply a whole number by 10, 100, or 1000, you have to add as many zeros to the whole number as in the power of 10. So let's look at the first example. It says 163 times 10. So because the 10 only has 1 0, we would add 1 0 to 163. And that makes the number 1,630. Second example, 438 times 100. So on our result, on our solution, we're going to add 2 zeros to the 438. And that makes the number 43,800. Third example, 291 times 1,000. 291 times 1,000, that is going to be equal to 291,000. We add 3 zeros to the number. Okay? Number 2, to multiply a decimal by 10, 100, or 1,000, you move the decimal point to the right as many places as there are zeros in the power of 10. Example, 0.163 times 10, we move the decimal point 1 space because we only have 1 0. So we move the decimal point 1 place to the right, and that makes the number 1.63. Second example, 0.438 times 100. So we move the decimal point 2 places to the right, 1 and 2. That makes the number 43.8. The third example, 0.291 times 1,000. 0.291 times 1,000, we move the decimal point 3 places to the right, and that number becomes 291. Number 3 says when multiplying a decimal by a power of 10, moving the decimal point and adding zeros may be necessary. So 0.3 times 10, we move the decimal point 1 place to the right, and that makes the number 3. The next one, 0.3 times 100, we move the decimal point 2 places to the right, and that makes the number 30. 0.3 times 1,000, we move the decimal point 3 places to the right, and that makes the number 300. So this is pretty easy, anyway, I think anyway. So let's go over and do a few exercises with some practice. So here it says multiply each whole number by 10, 100, and 1000. So the number that they gave us is 18. So it's a whole number. So if I take the 18 and I multiply it by 10, I already know that I have to add 1 0 to the number, so that's gonna make it 180, okay? If I take the 18 and I multiply it by 100, I already know that I'm gonna add 2 zeros. So I add 2 zeros and that makes the number 1,800. If I take the 18 and I multiply it by 1,000, that means that I'm adding 3 zeros to the number. So that's gonna make my number 18,000, okay? Let's try letter B. Letter B, again, if I multiply 273 times 10, that means that I have to add 1 0. So let's add, and that's gonna make my number 2,730. If I take the 273 and multiply it by 100, I already know that I have to add 2 zeros, and that's gonna make my number 27,300. And lastly, 273 times 1,000, that means that I'm adding 3 zeros to the number, and that's gonna make my number 273,000, okay? Number 2, multiply each decimal or mixed decimal by 10, 100, and 1,000. So here what you have to do is that you are moving the decimal point how many places to the right, as depending on how many zeros it has. So 1.389, if I want to multiply this by 10, it means that I have to move the decimal point 1 place to the right. So I have the decimal point here, and I'm going to move it 1 place to the right. That's going to make the number 13.89, okay? If I have the decimal point here and I'm multiplying this by 100, it means that I'm moving the decimal point 2 places to the right. So 1, 2 is 138.9, okay? And lastly, 1.389 multiplying by 1,000, which means that I'm moving the decimal point 3 places to the right. 1, 2, 3. So that's going to be 1,389. Okay? On letter B. Letter B says 2.764, and we are multiplying that by 10. It means that I'm moving the decimal point 1 place to the right. So that's going to be 27.64, okay? 2.764, if I multiply that by 100, it means that I'm moving the decimal point 2 places to the right. 1, 2, that's going to be 276.4. And lastly, 2.764, if I multiply it by 1,000, it means that I'm moving the decimal point 3 places to the right. 1, 2, 3, that's going to be 2,764. Okay? Let's look at the last one. The last one says, multiply each decimal by 10, 100, and 1,000. Be sure to add zeros if necessary. So if I'm multiplying 0.15 by 10, it means that I'm moving the decimal point 1 place to the right. So that's going to be 1.5. 0.15 times 100, that means that I'm moving the decimal point 2 places to the right. So that gives me 15. And 0.15 times 1,000, I move the decimal point 3 places to the right, and the number becomes 150. okay? Letter B, 0.28 times 10, I'm moving the decimal point one place to the right, and that's gonna be 2.8. 0.28 times 100, I'm moving the decimal point two places to the right, that's going to be 28. And 0.28 times 1000, I'm moving the decimal point three places to the right, and that's going to become 280, okay? Make sure that for this lesson you finish both pages of your worksheet, and I will see you tomorrow.